My hands were covered in blood. Not the usual kind that washes off after a 12-hour shift. This was different. Welcome back, my dear family. Before we continue, if you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, I truly recommend you pause this video and go watch them first. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single detail of what led up to this moment. That's where everything began, and it'll help you understand every twist that's about to unfold. But if you've already been following the story from the start, then welcome home. Settle in, relax, and let's continue this journey together. To accept that some battles can't be won and some enemies are too powerful to defeat. She sipped her wine. But you're stubborn. Just like your father. He thought he could take me down with his evidence and his FBI connections and his righteous anger. Look where it got him. It got him 12 years in your prison. 12 years of torture. And now it's got him fighting for his life in surgery because your thug shot him. Carlo exceeded his authority. He'll be dealt with. She said it casually, like she was discussing a minor personnel issue. But let's not pretend your father is innocent in all this. He refused a generous offer. He worked with federal agents to entrap me. He made himself an enemy. I simply responded appropriately. The casual cruelty of it made my blood boil. He was protecting his family, his business, his legacy, things you tried to steal. I don't steal, Dr. Moretti. I acquire. I negotiate. I make offers that benefit everyone involved. Your father was the one who refused to be reasonable. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to wrap my hands around her throat and make her feel a fraction of the pain she'd caused. But I forced myself to stay calm. Valentina wanted me emotional, wanted me reckless. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. You said, "Come alone or he dies." I'm here. I'm alone. Who are you threatening to kill? Valentina smiled. Still so literal. So direct. I can see why my son is fascinated by you. You're nothing like the women in our world. No subtlety. No games. Just pure, burning conviction. She stood and walked to the window. Dante called me earlier. Did you know that? My own son, telling me to surrender. To confess. To destroy everything his father and I built. All for you. Not for me. For what's right. Right. She laughed. Such a childish concept. There is no right or wrong, Dr. Moretti. There's only power and the will to use it. Your father learned that lesson too late. I'm giving you the chance to learn it now, before you end up like him. Is that what this meeting is? A lesson. It's an opportunity. One last chance for both of us to walk away before this becomes truly ugly. She turned from the window. Here's my offer. You stop. Stop talking to the press. Stop cooperating with the FBI. Stop encouraging my son's rebellion. In return, I drop the lawsuit. I leave you alone. And I make sure your father receives the best medical care available for whatever time he has left. And if I refuse, then I destroy you. Your medical license, your reputation, your life. I'll make sure every hospital in this country knows you're unreliable, unstable, a doctor who lets personal vendettas compromise patient care. You'll never practice medicine again. Her voice hardened. And your father? He'll spend his final days in a prison hospital, alone, in pain, with no one to comfort him. Because I own judges, Dr. Moretti. I own prosecutors. I can make sure he's charged as an accomplice to every crime he witnessed in my facility. Can you imagine? 12 years as my prisoner, and I'll make his final chapter as my inmate. If you're as angry as I am right now, show me with a like. Let me know you're on Sienna's side. The threat was so monstrous, so perfectly calculated to hurt me, that for a moment I couldn't speak. She was threatening to criminalize my father's victimhood. To make his suffering official, legal, permanent. But she'd made a mistake. She'd shown me just how desperate she was. How much damage the evidence had already done. How afraid she was of what came next. You can't do any of that, I said quietly. Because by tomorrow morning, Every news outlet in the country is going to have copies of the evidence from the farm. The prisoners you kept. The guards who'll testify. Carlo's arrest. The FBI has everything they need to put you away for the rest of your life. Your threats are empty because you're already finished. Valentina's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Fear. Real fear. She'd spent decades being the most dangerous person in any room. She wasn't used to being cornered. The evidence from the farm is circumstantial. My lawyers will tie it up for years. And in the meantime, I'll make sure everyone you love suffers. Everyone I love is already suffering. You made sure of that 12 years ago. The difference is now I'm not afraid anymore. Now I have nothing left to lose. Everyone has something to lose, Dr. Moretti. She pulled out her phone, pressed a button. A video began playing. Security footage from Manhattan General. The surgical wing. Dr. Okonkwo operating on my father. And in the corner of the frame, almost invisible, a man in scrubs watching. Waiting. My heart stopped. What did you do? Nothing yet. But one phone call and that man walks into that operating room. One phone call and your father dies on that table despite Dr. Okonkwo's best efforts. A tragic complication. These things happen, especially with patients in such poor health. She had someone inside the hospital. Someone ready to kill my father if I didn't back down. And suddenly all my defiance, all my courage, crumbled into dust. Don't. My voice broke. Please. He's already been through so much. Then give me what I want. Walk away. Let this go. Save your father's life. I stood there, trapped between every value I'd ever held and the impossible choice she was forcing on me. Let Valentina win and save my father. Or fight for justice and watch him die. There was no right answer. No clever solution. Just two terrible choices and seconds to decide. My phone rang. Dante. I answered with shaking hands. Sienna, where are you? Dr. Okonkwo just came out of surgery. Your father is stable. He's going to make it. He's asking for you. The relief was overwhelming. My father was alive. Was going to survive. Valentina's threat was too late. Whatever assassin she had waiting in that hospital, they'd missed their window. I looked at Valentina and saw the exact moment she realized she'd lost her leverage. Saw the calculation in her eyes shift from confidence to something approaching panic. My father is going to live, I said clearly. And he's going to testify. And you're going to prison. Your empire is over. I turned to leave. Valentina's voice stopped me. You think this is over? You think one night of victories means you've won? I've been playing this game since before you were born. I've destroyed people more powerful than you. And I always win in the end. Then I guess we'll find out who's more stubborn. You or me. I walked out of that penthouse with my head high and my father's blood still on my hands. Took the elevator down 60 floors while my heart hammered against my ribs. Emerged into the lobby where Dante was waiting. Must have tracked my phone, his face flooded with relief when he saw me. You shouldn't have come alone. She could have killed you. She tried to threaten me. Tried to make me back down. But she's too late. We already have everything we need to destroy her. Not everything. He pulled out his phone, showed me a message. The storage unit your father mentioned. I sent people to check it. It's empty. Cleared out recently. Someone got there before us. The triumph I'd felt seconds ago evaporated. My father's insurance policy. The evidence he'd hidden before Valentina took him. The proof that could bury her forever. Gone. Who? How? Nobody knew about it except... I stopped. Replayed the conversation with my father. Replayed who was standing nearby when he told me about the storage unit. The FBI agents. The paramedics. And Marco. Dante's bodyguard. Loyal to Dante. Or so we'd thought. Dante's face went white as he followed my logic. No. Marco's been with me for 10 years. He wouldn't. His phone rang. Marco's name on the screen. Dante answered. Put it on speaker. Boss, I'm sorry. I had to. She has my daughter. She's had her for 3 years. Been holding her over me this whole time. She said if I didn't get that evidence, if I didn't report your movements, she'd kill her. I had no choice. Where's the evidence now? I gave it to her. Tonight. She's probably burning it as we speak. Boss, I'm sorry. I know what I've done. I know you trusted me. But she's my little girl. I couldn't let her die. The line went dead. Dante stood there, his face a mask of betrayal and rage. His own bodyguard. His trusted friend. Working for his mother all along. And the evidence that would have guaranteed Valentina's conviction was gone. Ashes. Like my apartment. Like everything we'd fought for. We still have the farm, I said desperately. The prisoners. Carlo's testimony. The FBI. The FBI has been compromised before. You saw the videos. My mother owns people everywhere. Without your father's original evidence, without the documentation he spent months gathering, we have pieces. Not a complete case. Good lawyers could create reasonable doubt. Could delay trials for years. Could. A sound cut through the night. An explosion. Not close, but loud enough to rattle windows. We turned toward the sound. Smoke rising in the distance. The direction of the precinct where Carlo was being held. Dante's phone lit up with alerts. News notifications. Emergency broadcasts. A gas leak at the 19th precinct. Explosion. Casualties. Prisoners escaped in the chaos. Including Carlo Benedetti. I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. Valentina had just eliminated her guard who shot my father, the man who could testify about the farm, about the prisoners, about everything. She'd done it in a way that looked like an accident. And she'd done it within hours of being threatened. This wasn't desperation. This was a master strategist cutting off every avenue of attack. Eliminating witnesses. Destroying evidence. Proving she was still the most dangerous person in New York. Share this video right now if you want to see Valentina finally pay for everything she's done. And comment telling me what you think happens next, because this war is far from over. Dante's phone rang again. His lawyer this time, voice tight with urgency. Dante, emergency court session scheduled for tomorrow morning. Your mother's attorneys are pushing for immediate injunctions. They're claiming harassment, asking for restraining orders against Dr. Moretti, and they've filed countersuits. Federal charges. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Theft of proprietary documents. They're coming after both of you with everything they have. On what grounds? The storage unit. They're claiming the evidence taken from it was stolen Russo property. That you and Dr. Moretti conspired to break into a private facility and steal confidential family documents. They have Marco's testimony placing both of you at the scene. So that was Valentina's play. Turn our search for evidence into a crime. Use Marco's betrayal to paint us as the criminals. Take every move we'd made and twist it into something prosecutable. I thought about my father, barely alive in a hospital bed. Thought about 12 years he'd spent suffering. Thought about Valentina sitting in her penthouse, sipping wine, confident in her victory. And I made a decision. The court hearing tomorrow, I said. I'm going to testify. I'm going to tell them everything. About my father. About the farm. About what your mother has done. I'm going to make them listen. Sienna, without hard evidence, it's just your word against hers. And she has an army of lawyers ready to shred your credibility. Then let them try. I'm a doctor. I save lives. I took an oath to do no harm. That means something. My word means something. And maybe, just maybe, there's still one judge in this city your mother doesn't own. Dante looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded. If you're testifying, I'm testifying beside you. She's my mother, but you're right. This has to end. Whatever it costs. We stood there in the cold December night, two people who should have been enemies, now bound together by something deeper than romance or revenge. By the simple, desperate need to stop a monster before she destroyed anyone else. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Okonkwo. Your father is awake. He's weak but stable. He wants to see you. And Sienna, he has something to tell you. Something about the evidence. He says it's not all gone. He says there's one more copy. But he'll only tell you where it is in person. I showed Dante the message. Saw hope flicker in his eyes for the first time since Marco's betrayal. It could be a trap, he said. Valentina could have gotten to Dr. Okonkwo. Could be trying to lure you somewhere vulnerable. Or my father actually has a backup plan. One more card to play. One more piece of evidence Valentina doesn't know about. I started toward the parking garage. Either way, I have to go. He's my father. And he just spent 12 years in hell. If he says he has something that can help, I believe him. We drove to Manhattan General in silence, both knowing that everything came down to the next few hours. The court hearing in the morning. My father's mysterious evidence. Valentina's next move in a game she'd been winning for decades. The hospital was quiet when we arrived, the late-night lull before the early morning rush. We took the elevator to the ICU. The nurse at the desk recognized me, waved us through without question. My father's room was at the end of the hall. The lights were dim. Machines beeped steadily, monitoring his vital signs. He looked impossibly small in the hospital bed, tubes and wires connecting him to life. But when I entered, his eyes opened. Clear. Alert. Alive. Sienna. You came. Of course I came. Dr. Okonkwo said you have information about the evidence. He nodded weakly. The storage unit was a decoy. I knew Valentina might find it eventually. Knew she'd destroy anything I left there. So I kept the real evidence somewhere else. Somewhere she'd never think to look. Where? He smiled, and for a moment I saw the father I remembered. The man who'd tucked me in at night and helped me with homework and believed in justice. I gave it to your mother. The week before they took me. Told her if anything happened to me, to keep it safe. To give it to you when you were old enough to understand. When you were strong enough to use it. My heart stopped. Mom died a year after you disappeared. Where would she have put it? Her will. Everything she owned went to you. Including a safety deposit box at First National Bank. Box number 314. The key is in her jewelry box. The one thing I know you kept after she died. I had kept it. My mother's small wooden jewelry box. One of the few things I'd salvaged from our old life. It was in Reagan's apartment now, where I'd been staying since my place burned. We had evidence. Real evidence. Documentation my father had gathered 12 years ago, untouched by Valentina's reach, waiting all this time for me to be ready. There's more, my father said. Names, dates, transactions, murders, everything she's done for the past 20 years. And Sienna, it doesn't just implicate Valentina. It goes higher. Politicians, judges, police chiefs, the entire network of corruption she built. That's why she wanted it destroyed. It's not just evidence against her. It's evidence against everyone who enabled her. The magnitude of it hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't just about bringing down Valentina Russo. This was about exposing an entire system of corruption. About burning down a network that had operated with impunity for decades. Dante's phone rang. He answered, listened, his face going pale. What? I asked. That was the FBI. They need us to come in. Now. They say Valentina's lawyers are claiming we threatened her tonight. That we're dangerous. They're considering protective custody for her and arrest warrants for us. The trap was springing closed. Valentina was moving faster than we could counter. Using the legal system as a weapon. Turning our every move against us. But we had one advantage she didn't know about. Evidence she thought was long destroyed. Proof that had been waiting 12 years for this exact moment. Tell them we'll come in tomorrow, I said. After the court hearing. After we've had a chance to present our side. We're not running. We're not hiding. We're fighting this in the light, where everyone can see. I turned to my father. rest. Get strong. Because tomorrow we're going to finish what you started 12 years ago. We're going to make her pay for everything. He squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you, baby girl. So proud of the woman you've become. We left him sleeping, guarded by nurses I trusted, protected by security Dante had arranged. Walked out of the hospital into the early morning darkness. Christmas lights twinkled on buildings around us. Somewhere in the city, people were preparing for the holidays. Shopping. Celebrating. Living normal lives. And we were preparing for war. Dante drove me to Reagan's apartment. The streets were empty, the city holding its breath. When we arrived, Reagan was waiting, still awake despite the hour. I saw the news. The explosion. Carlo escaping. Your apartment. Sienna, this is insane. This is. Do you still have my mom's jewelry box? The wooden one I asked you to keep safe. She blinked at the subject change but nodded. Disappeared into her bedroom and returned with a small carved box. My mother's initials on the lid. Inside, costume jewelry, old photos, and at the very bottom, a small brass key with a tag. First National Bank. Box 314. I held it like a talisman. Like a weapon. Like the key to everything. What is that? Reagan asked. Justice, I said simply. 12 years late, but finally here. Dante's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. He showed me the screen. I know about the safety deposit box. I know what your father hid. Bring the evidence to me by sunrise or everyone you love dies. Starting with Dear Reagan. The message included a photo. Reagan's apartment building. Taken from across the street. Someone was watching us. Right now. This moment. Reagan saw the photo and her face went white. They know where I live. They're outside right now. I went to the window, careful to stay hidden. Saw a car parked across the street. 2 figures inside. Watching. Waiting. Valentina had moved from threats to action. From legal warfare to actual violence. She was done playing games. Done trying to control this through courts and lawyers. Now she was coming directly for everyone I cared about. And we had hours until sunrise to decide whether to fight or surrender. Hit subscribe right now because what happens next will change everything. Drop a comment telling me what you would do. Give up the evidence and save your friend, or risk everything to bring down Valentina. Because Sienna has to make that choice in the next 60 seconds. I stared at the car across the street, at the men inside watching us, and something inside me snapped. Not broke. Hardened. Crystallized into something sharp and unbreakable. Valentina Russo had spent 12 years controlling my life through fear. Through taking people I loved and using them as weapons against me. My father. My future. My sense of safety. And now she thought she could do it again with Reagan. She was wrong. Pack a bag, I told Reagan. You're leaving the city. Right now. I'm not running. This is my home. My life. I'm not letting her scare me away. You're not running. You're regrouping. There's a difference. I pulled out my phone, called Dr. Okonkwo. He answered on the second ring despite the late hour. I need a favor. A big one. Reagan needs somewhere safe to stay. Somewhere Valentina can't find her. Can you help? My sister has a house upstate. 2 hours north. Very private. Very secure. I'll make the call. Thank you. And Dr. Okonkwo. My father's evidence. It's real. We're going to use it tomorrow to end this. Be careful, Sienna. Wounded animals are the most dangerous. He hung up. I turned to Reagan. You leave in 5 minutes. Take only what you can carry. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Not your family. Not your boyfriend. No one. What about you? If I leave, you're alone with all of this. I'm not alone. I looked at Dante. And I'm done being afraid. Reagan threw clothes into a bag while I watched the car across the street. The men inside weren't moving, probably assuming we were trapped. probably waiting for sunrise to make their move or receive their next orders. They had no idea what was coming. Dante made phone calls. Quiet, urgent conversations. When he hung up, his face was grim but determined. I have people I trust. Actually trust, not like Marco. They'll create a diversion. Reagan can slip out the back. Take a car we have waiting 2 blocks over. She'll be gone before Valentina's people realize what happened. And then we go to the bank the moment it opens. Get the evidence. And we go straight to the courthouse. Public. Visible. Somewhere Valentina can't make us disappear without witnesses. It was a plan. Not a great one, but better than sitting here waiting for Valentina to tighten the noose. Reagan hugged me fiercely. Don't die. Don't you dare die before I get back to be your maid of honor at whatever insane wedding you and Dante eventually have. Who said anything about marriage? Girl, please. You two have been making love since this whole thing started. Just try not to get killed before you figure it out. She pulled back, tears in her eyes. Be smart, be safe, and make that which pay for everything. She slipped out the back door into the pre-dawn darkness. Dante's people were professionals. Within minutes, I got a text confirmation. Reagan was clear. Safe. On her way north. One less person for Valentina to use against me. Dante and I waited in silence as the sky started to lighten. Watched the car across the street. At exactly 6 a.m., both men got out and approached the building. They thought sunrise had come. Thought it was time to collect. They were going to be disappointed. We'd left through the back 30 minutes earlier, while it was still dark, using the same route Reagan had taken. Now we sat in a diner 3 blocks away, drinking bad coffee, waiting for the bank to open. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered anyway. Valentina's voice was ice. You think you're clever. Sneaking out. Hiding your friend. Playing games. But you're just delaying the inevitable. The inevitable is you in prison. Today. After I hand over my father's evidence and the world sees exactly what kind of monster you are. That evidence is 12 years old. Inadmissible in court. And even if it wasn't, I have judges who will bury it. Lawyers who will discredit it. You're fighting a battle you've already lost. Then why are you so scared? Why send your people to threaten Reagan? Why blow up a police station to free Carlo? Why work so hard to stop me if you've already won? Silence on the other end. I'd hit a nerve. I'll give you one more chance, Valentina said finally. Walk away. Right now. Leave the country. Start over somewhere else. I'll even provide the money. $2 million. Enough to build a new life far from here. All you have to do is disappear. Like my father disappeared? Like everyone who crosses you disappears? No thanks. I'd rather burn your empire to the ground. Then you'll burn with it. And so will everyone you care about. Your father is in a hospital bed. Vulnerable. Dr. Okonkwo is an old man. Fragile. Even Dante, my own son, he's made himself expendable by choosing you over family. I will destroy all of you before I let you destroy me. The call ended. I set down my phone with shaking hands. Dante covered my hand with his. She's panicking. Making mistakes. Good. Panicked people are sloppy. Or they're desperate enough to do anything. The bank opened at 9. We were the first ones through the door. I presented identification, the key, the paperwork proving I was the rightful inheritor of my mother's safety deposit box. The bank manager, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, led us to the vault. This box hasn't been accessed in over 11 years, she said. Your mother set it up with very specific instructions. It could only be opened by you, and only with proper identification. She was very insistent about that. My mother, protecting me even from beyond the grave. Keeping my father's evidence safe until I was ready. The manager left us alone. I inserted the key. Opened the long metal box. Inside was a large envelope, sealed, with my name written in my father's handwriting. If you're watching this and your heart is pounding, hit that like button. Let me know you're right here with me. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were documents. Hundreds of pages. Financial records. Photos. Witness statements. A USB drive. And a letter, in my father's handwriting, dated 1 week before he disappeared. My dearest Sienna, if you're reading this, it means I failed. It means Valentina Russo won and I didn't make it home to you and your mother. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I tried to do the right thing. Tried to stop her before she hurt more people. But she was too powerful, too connected, too ruthless. The evidence in this box is everything I gathered. Names. Crimes. Proof of corruption that goes all the way to the mayor's office and beyond. I was going to give it to the FBI, but I'm no longer sure who to trust. So I'm giving it to you. When you're old enough, strong enough, smart enough, use it wisely, use it carefully, and know that whatever happens, I love you, I'm proud of you, and I believe in you. Finish what I started. Make them pay. Love always, Dad. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't see past the tears. Dante gently took the documents from my shaking hands and started going through them. His face went pale. Sienna, this is incredible. This is everything. Bank transfers showing payoffs to judges. Photos of meetings between Valentina and city officials. Testimony from victims. Murder confessions. Business deals that were really extortion. It's all here. Organized. Documented. Verified. He pulled out one document and his hands started shaking. This is my father's signature. On an order to kill a rival family. I always thought he died of a heart attack. But this document is dated 2 days before his death. And there's a notation in my mother's handwriting. Problem solved. She killed him. She killed my father and I never knew. The revelation broke something in him. I watched Dante Russo, heir to a criminal empire, realize that his mother hadn't just destroyed my family. She'd destroyed his too. I'm testifying, he said. Whatever protection she thinks she has, whatever lawyers she's hired, I'm getting on that stand and telling the truth about everything. She doesn't get to walk away from this. Not after what she did to your father. To my father. To everyone. We left the bank with the evidence secured in a briefcase, knowing Valentina's people were probably watching, probably reporting back that we'd gotten what we came for. Let them report. Let her know what was coming. The courthouse was 10 blocks away. We could have driven, but we walked, staying on busy streets, surrounded by holiday shoppers and morning commuters. Safety in numbers. Witnesses if anything happened. My phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Okonkwo. Your father's condition has deteriorated. You need to come now. I stopped walking. Felt the world tilt. It's my father. Something's wrong. Dante grabbed my arm. It could be a trap. Could be Valentina trying to separate us before the hearing. Or it could be real. He was shot yesterday. Lost massive amounts of blood. Went through major surgery. Of course his condition could deteriorate. I was already flagging down a taxi. I have to go. Take the evidence to the courthouse. Give it to the FBI agents you trust. I'll meet you there as soon as I can. Sienna, we should stay together. My father is dying. I'm not missing his last moments because I'm afraid of Valentina Russo. Go. I'll be fine. I got in the taxi before he could argue further. Gave the driver the hospital address. Watched through the back window as Dante stood on the sidewalk, torn between following me and following the plan. The briefcase with the evidence was in his hands. He made his choice. Turned and headed toward the courthouse. I'd made my choice too. Whatever happened next, I wouldn't let my father die alone. The taxi pulled up to Manhattan General. I ran through the entrance, past the front desk, straight to the elevators. Hit the button for the ICU floor. The elevator seemed to take forever. When the doors opened, Dr. Okonkwo was waiting. His face was grave. What happened? Your text said his condition deteriorated. I didn't send you a text. The world stopped. I pulled out my phone. Showed him the message. His face went white. That's not my number. Sienna, I never sent that. Your father is fine. Stable. Sleeping. This is a trap. I turned to run back to the elevator. Too late. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. And from the stairwell, armed men emerged. Not police. Not security. Valentina's people. We were in a hospital full of patients and staff and innocent people, and Valentina had just initiated what looked like a lockdown. She'd gotten to the hospital systems. Cut the power. Sent her people in during the chaos. Dr. Okonkwo grabbed my arm. This way. The staff exits. We can get you out. But I pulled away. My father's room. If they're here for me, they might hurt him to draw me out. I have to make sure he's safe. I ran toward my father's room, Dr. Okonkwo calling after me. Burst through the door. My father was sitting up in bed, awake, alert, and not alone. Valentina Russo sat in the chair beside him, a gun in her lap. Hello, Dr. Moretti. Thank you for coming. We have so much to discuss. She raised the gun, not pointing it at me, pointing it at my father. The evidence. Tell Dante to bring it here. Now. Or I shoot your father in the head and you watch him die. Again. My phone was already in my hand. I could call Dante. Tell him to bring the briefcase. Trade my father's life for the evidence that would free him. Or I could refuse. Let my father die but guarantee Valentina's conviction. Sacrifice one life to save thousands of future victims. The impossible choice. The one I'd spent my whole career trying to avoid. Save the patient in front of me or think about the greater good. My father's eyes met mine. He shook his head slightly. Don't do it. Don't trade justice for my life. Let me die knowing you won. But he was my father. The man who'd raised me. Who'd suffered 12 years because he tried to do the right thing. How could I let him die when I had the power to save him? Valentina smiled. You have 10 seconds to make a call. Then I pull the trigger and we find out how good you are at treating gunshot wounds to the head. 1, 2, 3. Share this video right now if you want to see what happens next. Comment and tell me what choice you'd make. Because Sienna has 5 seconds left and the whole story comes down to this one decision. 4, 5, 6. I watched Valentina's finger tighten on the trigger. Watched my father's face, calm and accepting, ready to die if it meant I'd win. Watched 12 years of pain and sacrifice about to end in a hospital room while a monster held all the cards. 7, 8. And then I did something Valentina didn't expect. I laughed. Not hysterical laughter. Cold, clear laughter. The kind that comes from finally understanding the game. You're not going to shoot him, I said. Valentina's eyes narrowed. 9. If you shoot him, you get nothing. The evidence still goes to the FBI. You still go to prison. And you lose your only leverage. You're smarter than that. 10. She pulled the trigger. The click echoed through the room. Empty chamber. She'd never loaded the gun. It was a bluff. A test to see if I'd break. I hadn't. Valentina's smile was cold. Very good, Dr. Moretti. You're finally learning how this game works. But you're right. I don't need to shoot your father. I have something much better. She pulled out her phone. Showed me a video feed. Live footage. The courthouse. Dante walking up the steps, briefcase in hand. And surrounding him, at least a dozen men, closing in slowly, carefully, waiting for the right moment. One phone call and they take the briefcase. One phone call and your evidence disappears. One phone call and Dante disappears with it. So let's try this again. You have a choice. Tell Dante to bring me that briefcase, or I make him vanish just like I made your father vanish 12 years ago. My father spoke for the first time, his voice weak but steady. Don't do it, Sienna. The evidence is bigger than me. Bigger than all of us. Let her take Dante. Let her take me. But don't let her win. Touching, Valentina said. But we both know she's not going to let the man she loves die. Are you, Dr. Moretti? Are you really that cold? The man I loved. She said it so casually, but the words hit like a physical blow. Because she was right. Somewhere between saving Dante's life and fighting his mother, between discovering the truth and searching for my father, I'd fallen in love with Dante Russo. The last person I should love. The most impossible person. And Valentina knew it. Was using it. Just like she used everything. I pulled out my phone. Valentina smiled triumphantly. She thought she'd won. Thought I was calling Dante to surrender. Instead, I called 911. There's an armed intruder at Manhattan General Hospital. ICU floor, room 412. She's threatening patients. Send police immediately. Valentina's face went white with rage. You stupid girl. I own the police. They won't help you. Maybe. But they'll come anyway. They have to. It's a hospital. There are witnesses. Cameras. You can't make this disappear like you make everything else disappear. You're trapped here with me now. And every second you waste is a second closer to Dante getting that evidence to the FBI. She stood, gun still in hand. Then I'll shoot you for real. See how smug you are with a bullet in your chest. Go ahead. Shoot a doctor in a hospital room. In front of my father who's a witness. While 911 is already dispatched. While security cameras record everything. Add murder to your charges. Make it easier to convict you. We stood there, locked in a stalemate. Valentina's carefully constructed control slipping with every passing second. She was used to people being afraid. Used to threats working. Used to winning. She'd never faced someone with absolutely nothing left to lose. The sound of sirens in the distance. Getting closer. Valentina glanced toward the window, calculating her options. She could shoot us both and try to escape. Could call her people at the courthouse and abort the mission. Could surrender and face arrest. Or she could do what she did best. Adapt. You think you've won, she said quietly. But this is far from over. I've survived investigations before. Survived arrests. Survived trials. I have the best lawyers money can buy. I have judges who owe me favors. I have secrets that will bury anyone who tries to bury me. She walked toward the door, gun disappearing into her jacket. Your evidence is 12 years old. My lawyers will tear it apart. And when I walk free, and I will walk free, the first thing I'm going to do is finish what I started with your father. She left the room seconds before hospital security burst in, followed by police. I told them everything. Armed intruder. Threats. Valentina Russo. They took statements, secured the floor, started searching the building. But I knew they wouldn't find her. Valentina had escape routes planned. She always did. I sat beside my father's bed, holding his hand, shaking from adrenaline crash. He squeezed my fingers. You did good, baby girl. You didn't give her what she wanted. I almost did. When she threatened Dante, I almost broke. But you didn't. That's what matters. He coughed, pain crossing his face. The evidence. Is it really enough to convict her? I don't know. She's right about one thing. It's 12 years old. Her lawyers will attack its authenticity. They'll say it's been tampered with. They'll create doubt. I felt despair creeping in. What if we went through all this and she still wins? Then we keep fighting. We don't give up just because the first battle is hard. We fight until there's no fight left in us. He touched my face. Your mother would be so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. My phone rang. Dante. I answered with trembling hands. Are you safe? His voice was tight with worry. Yes. Valentina was here. She's gone now. Are you okay? She had people watching you. I know. They made their move when I was on the courthouse steps. Tried to take the briefcase. But I had backup too. FBI agents. Real ones. Vetted by people I trust. There was a scuffle, some arrests. But I got inside. The evidence is with the prosecutors now. It's official. Relief flooded through me. So it's over. We did it. Not over. Just beginning. The prosecutors want to meet with us. They need our testimony to authenticate the evidence, to explain its provenance. They're talking about a grand jury, about indictments, about a trial that could take months. He paused. Valentina's lawyers have already filed motions, claiming the evidence was stolen, claiming it's inadmissible, claiming we're conspirators trying to frame an innocent woman. It's going to be ugly, Sienna. Really ugly. Of course it was. Valentina didn't surrender just because she lost one battle. She was going to fight this with everything she had. Every lawyer, every favor, every dirty trick. But so would we. If you're ready to see this through to the end, hit that subscribe button right now. Tell me in the comments if you think the evidence will be enough to convict Valentina. Because the real battle is about to start. The next 3 days were a blur of lawyers and depositions and statements. Dante and I spent hours with prosecutors, going through every document, every photo, every piece of evidence. Explaining how my father had gathered it. How my mother had hidden it. How we'd found it. The prosecutors were cautiously optimistic. The evidence was solid, detailed, damning. But they warned us that Valentina's defense team was the best money could buy. They'd attack from every angle. Character assassination, technical challenges, procedural objections. And they did. Within 48 hours, Valentina's lawyers had filed 17 motions to suppress evidence. They claimed the safety deposit box had been accessed illegally, that the documents were forgeries, that my father had stolen proprietary Russo family information and hidden it, that I was a disgruntled woman on a revenge quest, willing to fabricate anything to destroy the family of the man who'd broken my heart. They painted Dante as a rebellious son trying to seize his mother's empire by eliminating her, me as his manipulative girlfriend pulling the strings, my father as a criminal who'd gotten what he deserved 12 years ago. It was character assassination at the highest level. And it was working. The media picked up the story. Commentators debated whether we were heroes or villains. Public opinion split down the middle. But the prosecutors pushed forward. They presented the evidence to a grand jury, called witnesses, built their case. And on December 23rd, the grand jury handed down indictments. Valentina Russo was charged with 15 counts of racketeering, 12 counts of murder, 8 counts of kidnapping, and over 100 counts of fraud, bribery, and corruption. Her arrest was all over the news. Footage of her in handcuffs being led into a police station, her face a mask of cold fury. Her lawyers swarmed, already promising appeals and dismissals. But for the first time in decades, Valentina Russo was behind bars. The bail hearing was set for December 26th. Her lawyers argued she was a pillar of the community, a successful businesswoman, no flight risk. The prosecutors argued she was a dangerous criminal with unlimited resources and international connections. A flight risk in every sense. The judge set bail at $50 million. Valentina posted it within 2 hours. She walked out of jail the same day she was arrested, smiling for cameras, confident in her inevitable victory. But something had changed. The arrests had rattled her network. 3 city officials resigned suddenly. 2 judges recused themselves from all Russo-related cases. A police captain took early retirement. The corruption my father had documented was unraveling, people scrambling to distance themselves before they got caught in the fallout. Valentina's empire was cracking. Not broken yet, but damaged in ways that couldn't be easily repaired. I spent Christmas Eve at the hospital with my father. He was getting stronger each day, color returning to his face, strength to his voice. Dr. Okonkwo said he'd make a full recovery given time. 12 years of imprisonment hadn't destroyed him. He'd survived. He'd won just by still being alive. Dante joined us, bringing food from a restaurant my father remembered from before his capture. We sat together, an impossible family formed by tragedy and revenge, and something that was starting to feel like redemption. What happens now? my father asked. After the trial, after all of this is over, what do we do with the rest of our lives? I looked at Dante. He looked at me. We hadn't talked about the future, about what came after the revenge, about whether two people brought together by hatred of the same woman could build something real. I don't know, I admitted. I've spent so long focused on bringing her down that I haven't thought about what comes after. Then start thinking, my father said gently. Because justice is important. Revenge is understandable. But living, really living, that's what matters in the end. Don't let Valentina Russo steal that from you too. Dante's phone rang. His lawyer. He answered, listened, his face going pale. When he hung up, his hands were shaking. What? I asked. What happened? The judge assigned to Valentina's trial. Judge Morrison. He just recused himself. Said he has a conflict of interest. That's good, right? He was probably one of the judges she owned. He was replaced by Judge Patricia Chen. She's known for being incorruptible, harsh, fair. She hates organized crime because it killed her brother 20 years ago. Dante's voice was strange. This is the best possible judge we could have gotten. There's no way Valentina has leverage over her. No way she can manipulate the trial. Hope flickered in my chest. Real hope. For the first time since this all started, we had a fair shot. A judge who couldn't be bought or intimidated. A chance at real justice. But Dante's expression wasn't relieved. It was terrified. What aren't you telling me? I asked. Judge Chen. Her brother. The one who was killed by organized crime 20 years ago. He met my eyes. He was killed by my father. On my mother's orders. It's in your father's evidence. Photos. Documents. Everything. The implications crashed over me. We had an incorruptible judge. But that judge had personal reasons to hate the Russo family. She wouldn't just be fair. She'd be biased against us. Against Dante for being a Russo. Against me for being involved with him. Our advantage had become a liability in the space of a phone call. She'll recuse herself once she sees the connection, I said desperately. She has to. Unless she doesn't see it as a conflict. Unless she sees it as justice. Unless she's been waiting 20 years for a chance to destroy my family, and this is her opportunity. Dante stood, started pacing. My mother knew. She must have known. She probably arranged for Morrison to recuse himself. She wanted Chen assigned. Because Chen won't just convict her. Chen will go after everyone. Including me. Including you for helping me. She'll see us all as Russos and she'll burn us all down. The trial was set to begin January 6th. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks to prepare for a judge who might see us as the enemy. 2 weeks for Valentina to plan her next move. 2 weeks until everything we'd fought for either came together or fell apart completely. I looked at my father, recovering in his hospital bed. At Dante, destroyed by the realization that his family name might doom us. At the Christmas lights twinkling outside the window, the city celebrating while we prepared for war. And I wondered if we'd been fighting so hard to bring down Valentina that we hadn't noticed her building the trap we were all about to walk into. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I almost didn't open it. But something made me look. The message was simple. Just a photo and a caption. The photo showed Judge Patricia Chen having lunch with someone. The photo was dated yesterday. And the person sitting across from her, smiling, raising a glass in a toast, was Valentina Russo. The caption read, "Checkmate. Comment right now and tell me what you think is happening. Is the judge actually corrupt? Is this photoshopped? Is Valentina setting a trap, or have we walked into one? Because nothing is what it seems, and the trial hasn't even started yet." I stared at the photo until my eyes burned. Judge Chen and Valentina Russo. Together. Smiling like old friends. 2 days before Chen was assigned to the case. "It's fake," Dante said immediately. "It has to be fake. Photoshopped. Valentina's trying to make us panic." trying to make us do something stupid. Or it's real and the one judge we thought we could trust is already in Valentina's pocket. I forwarded the photo to the prosecutors. Either way, they need to know. The response came within minutes. The photo was real, verified, but there was context we didn't have. Judge Chen had been meeting with Valentina as part of a separate investigation. Chen had been working with federal investigators for months, gathering information on judicial corruption. The lunch was a sting operation. Chen was wearing a wire. Valentina hadn't corrupted the judge. The judge had been investigating her, which meant Valentina sending us that photo was a bluff. A last desperate attempt to make us think we'd already lost. To make us give up before the trial even started. It didn't work. If anything, it made me more determined. The next 2 weeks were preparation. The prosecutors worked with us daily, building the case, anticipating defense strategies, preparing us for testimony. My father recovered enough to be moved to a secure facility where he could give his deposition without Valentina's people reaching him. And Dante systematically dismantled his mother's empire from the inside. He testified before grand juries about family operations, turned over financial records, named names. Every day brought new indictments. Business partners, politicians, lawyers. The entire network my father had documented was being exposed, person by person, crime by crime. Valentina's response was scorched earth. Her lawyers filed hundreds of motions, attacked every piece of evidence, demanded changes of venue, called for mistrials before the trial even began. And when legal tactics failed, she went public. Television interviews painting herself as a victim. A successful businesswoman targeted by a vindictive son and his unstable girlfriend. A mother whose only crime was building an empire that others envied. The media ate it up. Half the country saw her as a criminal monster. The other half saw her as a powerful woman being torn down by jealous enemies. The court of public opinion was as divided as everything else. But public opinion didn't matter. Only 12 people mattered. The jury that would decide her fate. January 6th arrived cold and clear. The courthouse was surrounded by media, protesters, supporters. Signs declaring Valentina's innocence competed with signs demanding justice. The whole spectacle felt like a circus. Inside was different, quiet, serious. The weight of real consequences. I sat in the gallery beside my father. He was thin, still recovering, but he'd insisted on being here. On watching the woman who destroyed his life finally face justice. Dante sat at the prosecutor's table. He'd been named as a witness for the prosecution. Would testify against his own mother. Valentina entered in an expensive suit, perfectly styled, radiating confidence. She looked at Dante. He looked back. Something passed between them. Not love. Not hatred. Just the final severing of whatever bond had existed between mother and son. Judge Chen took the bench. She was exactly as described. Sharp. No nonsense. Her eyes swept the courtroom like she was cataloging every face, every detail, every potential problem. We're here for the trial of Valentina Russo on multiple counts of racketeering, murder, kidnapping, and corruption. Are both sides ready to proceed? The prosecutors stood. Ready, Your Honor. Valentina's lead attorney stood. Marcus Webb. Famous. Expensive. Ruthless. Ready, Your Honor. The jury was already selected. 12 people who would hear weeks of testimony and decide whether Valentina Russo spent the rest of her life in prison or walked free. Opening statements began. The prosecutor laid out the case methodically. The evidence. The witnesses. The pattern of criminal behavior spanning decades. It was damning. Comprehensive. Exactly what we'd hoped. Then Marcus Webb stood for the defense. And everything changed. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're going to hear a lot of accusations over the coming weeks. A lot of so-called evidence. A lot of testimony from people with axes to grind. But I want you to remember one thing. Valentina Russo is a successful businesswoman who built an empire from nothing. And in this country, Success breeds jealousy, breeds resentment, breeds people willing to lie and fabricate and destroy in order to tear down what they couldn't build themselves. He pointed at Dante, her own son, rebelling against his mother because she wouldn't hand him control of her company, working with a woman who seduced him as part of an elaborate revenge scheme. He pointed at me, Dr. Sienna Moretti, who admits she pursued a relationship with Dante Russo specifically to get close to his family, who admits she wanted revenge for her father's disappearance. A disappearance, I might add, that has nothing to do with my client. Nico Moretti was involved in organized crime himself, made enemies, disappeared because of his own criminal activities, not because of anything Mrs. Russo did. My father stiffened beside me. This was the strategy. Paint him as the criminal. Make it seem like he deserved whatever happened to him. The evidence you'll see is 12 years old, gathered by a man with criminal connections, hidden in a safety deposit box like the guilty secrets they are, tampered with, altered, impossible to verify. The prosecution will ask you to convict a pillar of this community based on documents that can't be authenticated and testimony from people with clear motives to lie. Webb's voice was smooth, confident. I'm asking you to see through the lies, to recognize a vendetta when you see one, and to do what's right. Find Valentina Russo not guilty. The opening statements set the tone. This wasn't going to be a simple case of presenting evidence and getting a conviction. This was going to be a war. Every piece of evidence challenged, every witness attacked, every assumption questioned. The prosecution called their first witness, a former Russo family accountant who'd kept detailed records of illegal transactions. He testified about money laundering, about payoffs to officials, about financial crimes spanning years. Webb destroyed him on cross-examination. Pointed out he'd been fired by Valentina for embezzlement, had a criminal record, had every reason to lie for a reduced sentence on his own charges. By the time Webb was done, the accountant's credibility was shredded. The second witness was a victim, a man whose business had been targeted by the Russo family, who'd refused to sell and watched his store burn down, who'd received threats, who'd eventually fled the city. Webb painted him as a failed businessman looking for someone to blame, suggested the fire was insurance fraud, implied the threats were fabricated, made him seem like a liar and an opportunist. Witness after witness. The same pattern. Damning testimony. Brutal cross-examination. The jury's faces grew harder to read with each passing day. Then came my turn. I was called to testify about finding my father, about the farm, about the evidence in the safety deposit box. I told the truth. If you are enjoying this journey, you will definitely love part 4. Click in the image to watch now.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.